Many, many years ago, the brilliant mentalist, really the father of modern mentalism, Theodor Annemann, he had this idea with a card case. He had this idea to transform or convert a regular card case into an amazing, organic, natural, sort of very unsuspicious, I guess, impression gimmick. And his idea required that you spend a lot of time with actually an X-Acto knife. And inside the case, slowly scraping away the inside of one side of the case. The idea was to thin an area of the case, because back then, of course, things were pretty limited in what they could do with printing and this and that. And so anyway, the idea was to have a card case. And slowly but surely, you would scrape away inside the case and make a layer of the case thinner and thinner, because, of course, a standard card case is made of cardstock. And with a pencil, no impression would really go through this inside if you wanted to try to create an impression gimmick. So I came across this in an old book of his, and I was thinking about it for years, thinking there's got to be some way for me to make this amazing impression gimmick, but be able to do it in a matter of moments, put it together and make it work with any card case if I really wanted to. There's got to be a way to do that without having to spend hours and hours and all this stuff. So anyway, this is private property. Let me tell you right off the bat here, you can use this. It's perfect with to divine a card someone's thinking of. It's an amazing way to do this because you've got the card case right there. But since if you're like me and you do a lot of sort of close-up magic and mentalism, you combine the two, I've always got a deck of cards sort of in play, or I just finished a card trick or just about to go into one, whatever. So I always have a deck of cards around. It's so organic for me. My marker, my coins, a few other small props, some cord, and a card case. So because of that, you'll be able to use the same gimmick to mind read on any subject. Someone's middle name that they don't like to talk about, the day they were born, their favorite movie, a thought in their head, the name of a dead relative. I mean, you can do any of these incredible mind reading tricks. Very easy, very straightforward, all with the private property gimmick. You can make this with any card case design in the world, because all you need to do is take one side of whatever card case, put it, go to a Kinko's or a color photocopier, or maybe you got one at home, and just do a color photocopy of one side of the card case you want to use, okay? We up in Canada here, we've got these funny designs, so what I've done is I took a color copy, really nice quality color copy of one side of a standard American bicycle card case, okay? So this is you can do it on any paper, doesn't matter, but I wanted to go with the glossy, and I want it to be as thin as possible. So this is really the only gimmick you're going to need. You're going to take this and make a super cool gimmick with it. You're going to customize your own card case, okay? So like I said, you can adapt this principle to any card case in the world, and right now I'm going to do it with a bicycle, okay? So you're going to need a whole bunch of things, but don't be intimidated. You need a card case. You need the matching copy, okay? You need a piece of carbon paper, okay? Which amazingly you can still find at Staples and office supply stores. A pad of Post-it notes. A pencil, a dull pencil. The point should not be sharp. It should be a dull, rounded, and I'll explain to you why that is the case. A slip of paper, just a scrap piece of paper, a little smaller than a playing card. You could do this with scissors, but it's better if you use a packing knife, okay? And a roll of tape. Now, step one. With the cards still inside the case, okay, with the cards still inside the case, take a packing knife and cut a square out of the back, okay? And the reason we keep the cards in the case is so this can be a nice clean cut. You will, it's nice to have a joker on top, because you will, of course, cut that with the blade, but I want you to see here now what I've done, okay? I've left a border, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, a little bit more on both sides of the case, as well as more like 1/2 an inch down there and 1/2 an inch down there, okay? So I've cut out a panel out of the back of the cards, okay? That's step one. So this is about the piece. I don't need this again, okay? I can discard that piece. So that's step one, okay? Step two is I'm going to use tape here, but you can use glue if you want, okay? I think there's a lot to be said for getting just a little bit of glue stick, a little bit of glue, a little bit of glue, and a little bit of glue, okay? But I want you to see exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to get a piece of tape like this and put it on one side. And like I said, you would, I'm sure when you do it you'll want to use the glue approach, okay? And you take the color photocopy, okay? And you can see all I'm going to do here. And again, obviously the tape would look kind of suspicious to people, which is why when you do it, I do suggest you use glue, okay? So I'm taping this onto one side of the case right now, but if you glue it, it's good. Then it's going to look like exactly like a perfect match for your card case. Okay, no one's going to look twice at it, and when you glue it, make sure all the edges are nice and clean. Okay. I find I've learned the hard way over the years. The more time I spend, the more time I spend making sure the gimmick is made right the first time, the longer it'll last, okay? And this gimmick is designed to last for many, many performances, all right? But of course, when you want to replace it, all you have to do is get take another photo color copy of whatever card case you want to use, and you're good to go again, all right? So that's step one. Step two, and I want you to see here it is inside here, okay? Step two is to take a little bit of the piece of carbon paper. Now, the piece of carbon paper, I want you to see, should be as wide as a Post-it note. Okay, it doesn't have to, and it's nice if it's a little bit bigger than the Post-it note as well. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this with the ink side facing down. Okay, I want the ink side facing into the card case. And now what I'm going to do is get a little piece of tape here. Okay, and this you will use tape. You won't use glue when you do this. Okay. Little piece of tape. I'm going to show you this again. Little piece of tape on this. I'm going to slip this down inside the card case. Okay, I'm slipping it inside the card case so that it is pretty much, there we go, there, okay. So there it is inside the card case. Now, I can still have my deck of cards, and I have my scrap piece of paper, white side, or I should say scrap piece of paper, the blank side facing up, okay? And when I slip this in, I'm going to slip it inside, okay? And because the tape is sticking down the carbon paper, I can slip the whole thing inside there like that, and I am good to go. So I am set up to divine selected cards, something someone's thinking of, all these kinds of things, okay? So this is the setup. The only other thing I'm going to need when I want to perform this is a couple of Post-it notes, and like I said, a dull pencil. Now let's assume you want to do probably the effect I've done the most with this, because it's all organic, it's all right here, and that is have somebody think of any card in the world. They can think of any card, change their mind, go back and forth, whatever they want. And then when I spread out the cards and either they or somebody else touches a card, it is the one card they had in mind, and they don't even say it out loud until they're holding the card. And I love that detail. So to do that effect, here's what I do. I say to someone, think of any card, you got one in mind, okay, change your mind, go back and forth, whatever. And then I say, look, it's not that I don't trust you, okay, but look, and I don't make a big deal of it. I say, look, here's what I want you to do. It's not that I don't trust you, and I take out the Post-it note, and I say, look, I'm going to take, here's what I want you to do. I want you to just write down, okay, just write down the name of the card that you have in mind, because I have dealt with some people, not always nice, not everyone loves magic, not everyone wants their mind read, and what they do is, if I get lucky, and I happen to find, if I'm able to figure out the one card you're thinking of, people will change their mind. They'll say one thing, do another, whatever, so just to keep us all honest, so we have a little bit of evidence to make sure that if I pull this off, it really is a miracle, I want you to go ahead and write it down. And this is why you have a dull pencil. Because if you have a very sharpened, pointed pencil, people can write it down on this in a very wispy, gentle way. But with a dull pencil, people are much more likely, let's say they say the two of clubs, okay? They're much more likely to press down, okay? So I'm writing down here 2 of clubs, okay? Another tip for you is I have found that if you use a deck that maybe has a few cards less, if you've already done a Torn and Restored card or given away a few signed cards, I find when there's a fewer cards in the card case, people, for whatever reason, people do tend to press down even more firmly on it. So there's 2 of clubs, okay? Now, as soon as they write it down, I don't want this image to last too long for anybody, that they even wrote it down. So I've handed this to them, and you can hand this to them, you can look away, you can leave the room, whatever you want, okay, and have them write it down on a Post-it note, which they do, and then I even, with my head still turned away, I say, now I want you to, okay, I don't want to cheat though, I want you to take the Post-it note off, make sure nobody else can see it, okay, and then fold it up and hold it onto it, okay. So that way everything is on them. They've got this. They've been able to do it, and it's all very fair. Now, all I have to do, and this is what I love about this, is when they wrote on the Post-it note, the impression went through the Post-it note, through the thin color copy, through the carbon paper, okay? It goes through all those things so that now, when I open the case, okay? When I open the case and I just momentarily spill out the cards, what I do with my thumb here, because the piece of paper is just about, the piece of paper is just there, is what I can do is spill all the cards into my hand. And when I spill all the cards into my hand like this, they see nothing, but what do I see? On this side, right here, written in the carbon paper, 2 of clubs. They haven't mentioned it out loud. They changed their mind several times. They wrote it down on a piece of paper and held it in their hand. Later on, no one's going to remember that this Post-it note was even on the case. There's often, I think, people are left with the impression that I left it on the pad the whole time. So I just tip this over here, okay? And then with my thumb, once I glimpse what the card is, I simply push with my thumb the piece of paper back inside, remove all the cards, okay? I just pull out all the cards, boom, and I can go south with. I can either leave this on the table or put this in my pocket, whatever. So now I know the amazing information. I know the one card they're thinking of that they haven't mentioned to anybody is the 2 of clubs. Next, now, if I've got the deck set up, which I've sometimes done, ace to king, ace to king, ace to king, ace to king, and then pencil dots on each of the kings, then it's very easy for me to get down through the diamonds, right to the clubs. I can see, and then I can count right down, and I can know right there is my 2 of clubs if I set up the deck. And then I just have to force that card using a riffle force or a classic force, so I can spread up the cards. They can touch any card. Very, very cool. Now, if I haven't set up the deck, which is definitely most often the case, if I haven't set up the deck, then what I do is I say, okay, so you're thinking of a playing card, and I give the cards a shuffle. Then I just turn the cards over and I spread through the cards and let no one see them. And I say, now you're thinking of any card, you went back and forth. If I were to go through the cards right now and I were to take out one card and that was the one card you were thinking of, you haven't mentioned to anybody, would you be amazed? And they go, well, yeah. I say, so would I, I'm just not that good. And I get a laugh. And as I get the laugh, all I do is I square this back down, keep a pinky break, and cut the cards. And I go right from there. And of course, all I've done now is got the one card they were thinking of to the top. So just with a gag, you can spread through, say, wouldn't you be impressive, if this was your card? Or you can even do it this way. Let's say the 2 of clubs in the middle, and I certainly will do this sometimes. I say, you're thinking of any card, right? You went back and forth, you got one card in your mind. I said, I'm going to go through here. Would you be impressed if this card right here was the one card you were thinking of? Would you be impressed? And they go, yeah. I say, so would I. Any chance to get lucky? 10 of spades? They go, no. And all I'm doing is a double lift. So I move one card openly to the top. It's really there, the 2 of clubs. All I do is a double lift. I say, was that it? No. And they go, so I'd be impressed too. Oh, well. So concentrate your card. Think of your card. I can't find it. There's no way, but I think you can, okay? Or I say, but I think your friend can. And I put out the cards like this, okay? Now, they can touch any card. I got my card here. They can touch any card in the deck. And let's say they touch this one. I say, you're sure? You want to change your mind? And sometimes they do. I say, boom. And the nice thing is if they change their mind, then the person who was thinking of the card changes their mind a few times at the beginning. Then this person changes their mind a few times. The whole thing seems even more impossible. Now, easy way to do this is as I come over, I'm going to spin this card out, is I push this card off with my thumb and get a pinky break underneath, okay? And I do that at this exact same moment I spin this. This hand coming over provides lots of cover for that little action, okay? So I'm just here, I come here, and I say for the very first time, name your card, or I say, I'm hoping, were you thinking of, and I just do a double lift. So it's a beautiful technique. They can touch any card. I spin it out, okay? It goes directly on top, and then because I got the get ready during the spin out, the whole thing flows 2 of clubs. And people freak out, and we can even refer to this if we want. Now, that's one way to do it. If you want this to happen, you want it to be in their hands when they say it, well, then it's just a matter of a switch, and that's not a big deal. A couple of different ways you can do this. First, let's say you've controlled to the top. Just keep a pinky break. Say you call stop whenever you want. They call stop. You push out the one card. You say, hold on to the corner. Have you whispered the name of the card to anybody? No. Have you said it out loud to anybody? No. Have you even mentioned the color to anybody? No. For the very first time, say your card out loud, name it, and they go 2 of clubs. And I haven't, what's cool about this technique of the riffle and the stop and hold is I haven't even seen it. So there's that sense of he doesn't even know what it is. And then they mention, boom, the 2 of clubs. Okay. Okay, so you can do a riffle force, you can do a classic force where you've controlled the card to the top, then cut the pack with the pinky break, spread out, and just watch your timing and say go ahead and reach one and make sure you, of course, force the card at the right time. Okay, so whatever your favorite force is, whatever's going to work. Now, a couple other points here. Boom. Okay. Number one, you've got to figure out your own personal style. Do you want to reveal the card first before they name it? And then you go to the post-it note, or do you want them to name the card, then turn it over? You could maybe have everybody hold one card in their hand once it narrowed down, so that not even they know. They say it's the 2 of clubs, and you have this great drama of you look at someone's hands, maybe a girlfriend or a friend of theirs holding, and then you look at them and say, man, I hope that's the 2 of clubs. I mean, he could have thought of any card in the world. You build that up. Or do you want to go to the 2 of clubs first? Do you want to actually, since you've involved the notepad, do you want them to open their hand or unfold this and say 2 of clubs, he committed. Remember, we had evidence here. I didn't want him to change his mind. Because that's always one of the classic challenges in doing mentalism is, why is someone writing it down? If you're going to read their mind, why do they write it down? And years ago, I came up with that lovely angle, and I encourage you to really make the most of this idea, which is, I'm not saying I don't trust you, but just so we have some evidence that you don't change your mind, which seems totally fair. I mean, the idea of people changing. When you're dealing with something as abstract as mentalism, someone's thoughts, of course people can change their mind. Or, I've even said this, I said, I don't want you to change your mind. I said, also, I already had a couple of people pick cards. I don't want you getting confused about which card in particular you decided you committed to in the end. So, here's a post-it note. Go ahead. Will you just scribble down the name right on the post-it note? Okay, make sure no one can see it now. And you take the post-it note, hold it in your hand, okay? So, I don't even, when I perform this for people, I often don't even mention the card case. Put it on the case, take it off the case, because when you use your words, you're laying down things for them to remember later on. So, it makes a lot, look, you can take out the post-it note, right? So it's not that I don't trust you, okay? I just, I'm going to close the card case here. It's not that I don't trust you, but go ahead, just scribble it down here for me. Scribble down the name, okay? Take it off, hold it in your hand. So try not to say case or card case or any of these kinds of things. Jot it down. I try to do the whole thing very casually. And it's so organic. Like I said, you've got so many impression gimmicks with these funny little leather wallets and things you take out and a big notepad, and the fact that it's just the card case. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, don't limit yourself to just reading their mind about a selected card. Because, saying to somebody, and people can be very funny about their middle names, and I'll say, and I'll say to someone, let's try something else. Why don't you go ahead, I know it can be embarrassing, tell everyone your middle name. Actually, better yet, don't even tell anybody. I want you to jot it down. I'm going to try to get a sense of one of the letters. I don't know if it's 3 letters or 8 letters or 12 letters, but I think you'd agree if I could get 1 letter, maybe even 2 letters from your middle name, that'd be pretty cool. Okay, but again, I don't want you making it up and changing your mind. So here, go ahead, just jot it down. Don't let anybody see it. Okay, now I want you to hold the note in your hand, and you're in. Okay? Now, of course, you need to get to the card. You need to open the card case. So what I'll often do is I'll say to them, okay, so you're thinking of your middle name. Look, let me try something here. Let me try to see if I can build a bit of a connection for you before reaching for the high country here. Let me try something with a pack of cards. See if we can show you a card trick, and maybe if that goes well, maybe we'll try this, okay? So I just use the card trick as a build-up to that, or as a build-up to get their PIN number, or as a build-up to get the date they were born, or whatever the case may be, or their star sign, or any of that stuff, or their favorite drink in a bar, okay? So you get all this every single time with the private property gimmick. And again, just so much of it's about, I think you'll find the first time or two you do it, it'll feel a little awkward, like you'll just be you can rehearse and practice, but once you get it a few times in front of people, and you really work out the kinks and it feels really flowing for you, you'll see how simple this is to do, how easy it is to do, and how amazingly flexible. I mean, there's so many different effects you can perform with the private property gimmick.